Hi everybody. This is actually going to be a list of a top 10 years in WWF history. I'm here with my brother, and we just came up with a list. Me and him put it together. So this will be the top 10 years in WWF history, or actually the top 10 years since 1990. So we're going to count them down, and I'm not going to rush this video. So if this takes 5 parts, 10 parts, 20 parts, whatever it's going to be, I'll just upload it into several parts. I just don't like rushing, and it definitely hurts the video quality when you do rush. So yeah, let's break it down. What are some of the years that we just barely cut? Uh,
So some of the years we just barely cut. I think 1989 we had to cut that out.
well, I decided this is actually going to be from 1990.
That's right.
So just to be
Yeah.
fair, because obviously I think there's some people out there that would argue 87, 88, 89 would definitely be in contention as well.
Right. We can't really appreciate those years as much because I was too young to appreciate them anyway. 2005 was one of the ones we had to cut, and then 2008 was another one that we cut.
All right.
From the
Well,
list.
let's. I think probably the runner-up would have been 2004. To talk about why 2004 might have made it and why we cut it.
2004, the reason why it was so important to us is because Benoit and Guerrero really took off at the beginning of 2004, and Chris Benoit and Eddie Guerrero both ended up winning the championship titles, and that was an important moment for us because we had rooted for them for years, and I think a lot of people were happy to see them have that main event success. I think it got cut from the list because eventually that year just kind of went down. Bradshaw ended up taking the WWE title, and sorry Bradshaw, but you weren't very entertaining once the bell rang. And
Well, I think JBL was a good champion. I thought he brought a lot of importance to the belt, great promos, but I don't know, just the overall quality of his pay-per-view matches and the SmackDown undercard scene really got hit hard. When Kurt Angle was the GM, and it just the overall flow of the show. It just wasn't a spectacular year.
no,
Even though it's 2004, you can't deny those moments. Royal Rumble, No Way Out, WrestleMania 20, Backlash, even Judgment Day with Eddie and JBL. I mean,
yeah,
you just had some really emotional shit with Benoit and Eddie. And I think Randy Orton winning the title was great as well. That's how you put over somebody. When Benoit put over Orton, that was just an awesome moment. I think if they continue with Randy Orton as a heel and didn't fuck it up with
yeah,
that babyface run, I think 2004 definitely could have been a lot better. So 2004 was closed. 2005 was closed because of HBK. I thought some of the mic work that HBK did in 2005, and he had the great feud with Kurt Angle. But 2005 is when they really started, forcing John Cena down our throats. And there was some other stuff in 2005 that was kind of mediocre, like JBL and Batista had a feud on SmackDown. So that's pretty much it. So let's just jump right into the actual list. All right, so at number 10, we're going to go with 1990. All right, so tell me anything about 1990 that you remember that really stood out.
the Ultimate Challenge. The Ultimate Warrior and Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania 6. I mean, that's the first thing that you think about when you say 1990. It was a big year. Hogan was still in his prime for the WWE, but it was nice, I think, for WWE fans to see somebody else take the torch and run with it. Somebody like the Ultimate Warrior. It was pretty cool.
I
Yeah.
mean, the Warrior had a great year. I mean, you could say that there was one point when Warrior was more over than anybody in the company, and just his entrance and everything. Like 1990 was definitely his year. He had a great feud with Hogan and I think Ravishing Rick Rude as well.
Yeah,
Um,
great talent. Ravishing Rick Rude was a great wrestler. He was in great shape. He had great matches. He was a good technical wrestler. And Ultimate Warrior, they had a great cage match at SummerSlam. You mentioned before the Hart Foundation. They were hot as a great tag team. They still had Demolition. They had, I think, Legion of Doom made an appearance, and you had the Rockers were probably coming into really some of their best shape, and they're having some of their best matches as a tag team as well.
right. I mean, from top to bottom, you just had a spectacular talent, a talented roster. I mean, did we mention Mr. Perfect?
No,
The Intercontinental title scene was hot as well
yeah,
at that time.
yeah.
Definitely.
He brought a lot of prestige to that Intercontinental title. He
Right.
he deserves a lot of credit for that title being as good as it was, not just because of the way he was in the ring, but on the mic as well.
And like I said, this was the Ultimate Warrior's year. I mean, a lot of people have mixed feelings about the Warrior, but I mean, you can't deny that he was entertaining as hell, right?
He was really entertaining. And I mean, was he a great wrestler? No, not at all. But I think the WWE used him right at that time.
Well,
and he electrified the crowd.
I mean, if you watch Ultimate Warrior's YouTube channel, one of the things he stresses was that passion and intensity. He'll take that over talent any day of the week. And I mean, you got to give Warrior credit for that. You can't deny that you saw a lot of passion and intensity out there. I mean, maybe you didn't see a lot of talent, but I definitely thought he got the job done. And it wasn't like anyone booed the shit out of him. Everyone, like from 1990, 91, those years, everyone was on his side. I mean, you can't deny it.
Yeah. I think it was the right time. It was good timing. It was the right time for the Warrior to step out to the spotlight. And unfortunately, that was really the only time they really had that. They really embraced it. But it was the right time.
All right, so at number 9.
Speaking of 1991.
We have 1991.
Yes, 1991. Well, this was really your pick. This was really one that you were passionate about. So why don't you go ahead and talk about why you thought 91?
Well, I thought obviously we had the Middle East war with what was it, Iraq or Kuwait? We were at war.
That's right.
I can't remember the exact.
It was
one.
Kuwait. Yeah. Well, no, Iraq. I'm sorry, Iraq invaded Kuwait.
Right.
Right.
All right. So so we had the war going on, and a lot of people didn't like it. That they kind of made Sergeant Slaughter out to be this monster heel, the Iraqi loyalist. But I thought it was awesome. I thought Hogan and Warrior, they had a pretty edgy feud. Leading up to WrestleMania 7, and if you were a kid watching that at the time, I just thought it really made for compelling television, because I thought Hogan did a great job of playing the American hero, so that was cool. Warrior and Savage, they had a great feud in 1991. You had the whole thing with Undertaker, Jake the Snake Roberts, and their feud with Randy Savage when what was it? Jake Roberts took out the Cobra and actually, bit Savage's arm. So you had some pretty edgy television. On top of that, you have Flair coming back, or Flair finally coming in with the world title.
Right, and he came in with the world title. That was really cool. That was the first time I ever saw something like that. A wrestler comes on the scene, WWE, from a different company with a heavyweight title, saying, "I'm the world heavyweight champion." At the same time, he helped the Undertaker beat Hulk Hogan at the end of that year. That was a really cool moment. That was really cool. You see this really unstoppable force in the Undertaker take out Hulk Hogan in a match. It was really cool to see.
Yep.
And let's not forget Bret Hart versus Mr. Perfect at SummerSlam.
Yeah, you had guys that were like in tag teams, like finally breaking away and getting the chance to show what they could do in singles competition. And yeah, the Bret and Perfect from SummerSlam '91. I just thought the overall. The business was really hot in '91. I would definitely say that. Really, everyone was like a Hulkamaniac or an Ultimate Warrior fan or a Warrior. What was Ultimate Warrior?
The Warriors.
Just the Warrior.
All the little Warriors.
Right. Yeah. It was just they were on fire at the time. I think you had great tag team wrestling, great mid card talent, and obviously the main event guys could draw a lot of money. I mean, obviously you had the dark moment with Warrior holding Vince up for more money at SummerSlam. So Warrior, that was pretty much the end of the Ultimate Warrior's hot streak. So there was some negative side effects.
If it was the Attitude Era, that would have been the storyline. That would have just put that into the storyline.
Yeah, I guess so.
Or if it was CM Punk.
Right. All right. So, all right. So that was '91. All right. Number 8, we're gonna go with 1996.
Oh, 1996.
All right, I'll let you talk about '96, but before I get into it, PWI magazine, and I kind of agree with them. They ranked like the best years that anyone's ever had in the history of the business, like the top 15. And at number 1, they actually had Shawn Michaels' 1996 run as the greatest year anyone's ever had in the history of the business, and I can't really deny it. So
I don't think anyone could really disagree. Shawn Michaels carried the WWE on his back this year. The quality that he brought to those main event matches throughout all those pay-per-views, the in-your-houses, he was able to bring quality to a roster that they really did not have a whole lot going for it other than, well, him. Um, if you look at the British Bulldog matches, if you look at the Vader match, if you look at the Psycho Sid matches, if you look at a lot the Mick Foley match, the Mankind match from Mind Games, he was doing a lot of edgy things. If you look at Good Friends, Better Enemies with Diesel, he did a lot of revolutionary things with that title reign, and he had a lot of great matches with guys, including Diesel, including Vader, including Psycho Sid, that were very good compared to, well, if those guys fought anybody else. And he really made that year what it was. And it's great to see a champion like Shawn Michaels, his first title reign, come out and make such a huge impact. And I still don't think we've seen anybody, in my opinion, come out and make that title so great that year. You also had Triple H, Hunter. Well, he was Hunter Hearst Helmsley at the time. He looked great. He was doing some good stuff in the mid card.
Right.
And you had Mankind there and Undertaker, but that stuff was kind of quiet compared to everything that Shawn Michaels was doing.
Did we talk about the Austin 316?
Oh, I didn't mention. Yeah, that's right. That was a huge. Where would we be without Austin 316?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And towards the end of that year, you finally started to see glimpses of the Attitude Era, like slowly, come out. I think they did the thing with Brian Pillman and Austin when, what was it? Brian Pillman pulled the gun on Steve Austin at his home.
Yeah. That was really edgy and really scary. He pulls a gun. Austin breaks in, and then Pillman pulls a gun on him. That was the birth. I think things like that toward the end of that year, that was the birth of the Attitude Era. Because the crowd, it was so important. If you listen to the crowd, they were starting to boo the faces. And they were starting to cheer the heels. Because ECW was going on outside of that. You had the NWO going on in WCW.
Right.
And all that stuff was affecting how the crowd was reacting in WWE.
Definitely, yeah. Also, I wanted to say Bret Hart. The Bret and Shawn feud, you didn't really like it, right? Leading up to WrestleMania 12, you thought it was kind of corny?
It was corny, but honestly, there wasn't a whole lot, in my opinion, there wasn't a whole lot that they could do. It's basically we're throwing the two best wrestlers in the company in a ring for an hour. They're both faces.
Right.
And usually when you have two faces, same thing with Warrior and Hogan leading up to, the main event of WrestleMania 6. There's not a whole lot you can do when you have two faces there.
Right.
So there's really, the storyline, it was kind of cheesy, but who cares? The match was great,
Also, I want to say when Bret took some time off, but when he came back, this is when they really started to expose the business with Bret. With the contract, they were going over why would Bret leave to go to WCW. So
a lot of tension.
That made for some compelling television. Then you also saw Bret and Shawn. You saw sprinkles of their kind of shoot style feud coming to life, which we further we would see in 1997.
That's right.
But overall, 96 had some bad qualities too. You still had a pretty weak undercard. I mean, Shawn Michaels pretty much carried the company.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows where they would have been if Shawn wasn't really healthier at the top of his game during that time. I mean, it would have been a really bad year.
Right.
But Shawn Michaels, for as good as he was, he really just based on his effort. I mean, that pretty much makes 1996 one of the most memorable years.
And if you're a Shawn Michaels fan, it's interesting how he's talked about how, as great as things were in the ring, he was not a happy person.
No.
Outside. So
put a lot of pressure on himself. So all right, so let's move on to
2003.
We'll just keep going. 2003. I don't know. What did you think?
2003, I thought there were some great moments. I thought that had a great WrestleMania. It got off to a great start. I thought you saw Kurt Angle doing a lot of great things that year. You saw Brock Lesnar, he had a back and forth year, being the top face in the company, and then shifting and being the top heel later in that year, doing stuff with Zach Gowen. I don't know if you remember Zach Gowen, but one of the things that stands out in 2003 is when he took Zach Gowen and he F5'd him into the ring post. I wasn't a big fan of the guy Zach Allen, but I give the guy credit because he wrestled on one leg, and that was some brutal crap because he ended up throwing him downstairs.
Yeah,
I
they
mean,
really tried to make. I don't know. I guess they didn't think Brock as a babyface was going to cut it. So
right?
they really tried to make him like this sadistic, scary, intimidating heel that
Yeah,
was just, was a fucking
which is
psycho.
probably how they should have kept